Ocean Story is with you, and I have new stories that touch me. My sister has a family of her own. Her first marriage was not successful, so 2 years after the divorce, she married a new guy. My sister Kennedy has been living with Ezra for about 7 years. Their marriage is pretty cool, and there have never been any serious problems. My sister Kennedy has a son of her own with her ex-husband. Aaron is currently at school. He will graduate in 2 years, so it's time to think about where he should go to college. Aaron does not have great mental abilities. He is very big and has a good shape. Aaron says it's because he does exercise every day, but humor doesn't help him with his grades. Aaron himself does not care about his grades. Aaron wanted to become a full-time lifeguard. Well, there would be no problem with the physical items, but his math and other subjects are dragging Aaron down. With grades of 2 or 3, you don't get into the lifeguarding profession. Aaron's mom has told him many times that he should study harder instead of spending his time in the gym. Aaron is sure that it is not so important. The main thing is that he is in great physical shape. I understand him when I was his age. I was also self-confident. However, Aaron's stepfather is a very categorical man. Ezra does not understand anything about modern education, but he is strict about his new son's education because Ezra did not study well in his youth. Because of this, he has to work hard at work. Ezra was very interested in getting Aaron into his dream college, but with those grades, Aaron would not have been able to get in anywhere. So Ezra started looking for colleges in the area that could accept Aaron as a student. It turned out that there was only one college in the entire county, but even that one didn't have many guarantees. If Aaron didn't start studying now, it would all be for nothing. He would not achieve what he needed. Aaron didn't want to think about taking additional courses. Ezra called me one day and asked me what I knew about college admissions. Ezra explained to me that his son Aaron had no chance of getting in. But Aaron wants to go, but he doesn't want to study. I told Ezra that he needs to be more strict with his adopted son. Ezra understood me too directly. When Aaron returned from his training, his stepfather Ezra started a conversation with him. Ezra lost his temper and started talking. If Aaron doesn't get his head together, he won't let him go out and play sports. And also, Aaron would be grounded until he starts doing well in school. Otherwise, no one will accept an idiot like him into college, and he will be forced to study somewhere else and learn another profession. Aaron was very upset by his stepfather's words. A strong conflict began between them. Aaron assured his stepfather that there would be no gap in his admission. Ezra would not even listen to his son. Ezra knew what would happen if his son did not study. Then every effort would be in vain and nothing would make sense. Aaron got angry and went outside. Kennedy found out about the conflict between her husband and son. Kennedy began to talk to Ezra's husband. What right did he have to say that to his son? Ezra was already at the peak of his emotions. He just said, "Do whatever you want. I'm not going to take part in this shit anymore. If Aaron wants to fail all the entrance exams, then let him. Muscles alone cannot solve everything. And if you're Kennedy, don't you realize that you're helping Aaron ruin his life? Then I'm not going to try to prove anything to you anymore." Ezra called me. He said he was sorry for wasting so much of his energy, but it was all for nothing. No one understands his efforts. Samantha, I think Ezra is doing the right thing. He's probably the only one in the whole family who thinks about academic success. It's true that you can't get into college on your own. During the final exams, no one will ask Aaron how many minutes it takes him to run 1 mile. That's why all the claims about Ezra are very silly. I would love to see the result of such a bad attitude at the beginning. I doubt that Aaron will get into the right college to become a lifeguard. Landon, the stepfather, has been very unkind to Aaron. Maybe he was trying to be a good dad, like a real dad. But he clearly shouldn't have done it in such a rude way. Because of his actions, Ezra had a fight with his wife and son. I don't think Ezra had a full understanding of the admission process, since they sometimes make exceptions for students whose form is just incredible. Reading this story, you can understand that Aaron is in that kind of form. Perhaps Ezra himself should have gone and asked the university about admission, but he chose to go and ask people who are not competent. Ezra is completely to blame for all the quarrels. Maya, I was once in a similar situation as Aaron. I didn't think about studying. I just dreamed of being a director. No matter who told me, I just believed. So when the time came to apply for a law degree, I failed the test for the entrance exam. So I know the importance of studying like no one else. But that doesn't mean you have to be so rude to your son. Adrian, I have been working as a designer for 3 years. In all this time, none of the university subjects have been useful to me. Everything they teach there is nonsense. I don't understand how you can think so highly of the university. It's a place for a person to find the right friends and have some intelligence, but nothing more than that. Aaron is upset that his stepfather acted like a jerk, and indeed, Ezra is a jerk. I wonder why Kennedy hasn't stood up for her son before. Did it really have to be such a big fight? Aaron's parents need to be kinder to him. Not going to university is not the end of life. My next story. My wife and I don't get much money, so we saved for 4 months to upgrade our old sofa. We covered it with a special cloth so that we wouldn't accidentally get it dirty. 4 days ago, my brother came to visit me with his family. He has 1 son and 2 daughters. The oldest of the daughters is Willow, she is 16. The middle daughter is Kinsley, she is 14. The youngest son is only 8 years old. My wife and I, along with my brother and his wife, were sitting on the 2nd floor in the guest room. The children were on the ground floor playing a game console. It was lunchtime, and we were all sitting in the kitchen when my brother's younger son went to the living room on the 1st floor. That's where the new sofa was. I asked my brother's son not to eat near the couch. My wife took the old bedspread to be washed, and the new one did not protect my sofa well enough. I agreed to let the kids sit on the couch and play games. I did not want them to disturb us. We had just started a very interesting topic of conversation. When it was dinner time, we were all in the kitchen again. My wife had baked a delicious chicken and potatoes. For dessert, she and my brother's wife made a large portion of cream cake. It tasted incredible. The children are tired of sitting next to us. They asked if they could go to the console. I gave them permission, but asked them to be careful with the food. The children took their portions of the cake and left. 1 hour later, I was walking past the children, and I saw something I never wanted to see. My brother's middle daughter, Kinsley, was sitting playing with Willow. Suddenly, Willow screamed very loudly because she lost to her sister. My brother's younger son was holding a plate of cake right above the couch. The moment Willow screamed, he got scared. The whole plate of cake flew onto the couch. Because the cake was covered in cream, half the couch became sweet. The tablecloth that was supposed to protect the sofa, it was just lying on the floor at that moment. So the sofa was damaged very badly. I screamed, "Oh no, you have ruined the couch." I quickly ran to the kitchen to get something to wipe off those stains while they were still fresh. While wiping the couch, I was mad as a dog. Actually, I was more upset. After all, dry cleaning would not be cheap for me. I realized that these were other people's children, so there was no need to yell at them. I was very upset for the rest of the evening. When I told the others what had happened, they were teary-eyed. I started demanding money from my brother for dry cleaning, but he said that it was not an accident and that he didn't have the money to pay now. I almost exploded at his words. My wife calmed me down a bit. I asked my brother's family to leave my house before they ruined something else for me, his damn kids. He was angry at what I said, but he left. I see no excuse for them. My brother should pay for all the damage. My wife is a little angry with me for losing my temper. But was I supposed to sit in silence all evening? Jonathan, you did act a little bit rude. But those kids brought it on themselves. You told these kids to be careful. These kids are obviously not being raised well if they had the nerve to ask to eat in the living room. There will be no excuse for them to be children. At least 2 of them were already more or less adults. It is a very bad idea to go into the room with a cake with a lot of cream on it, especially when you are told 100 times that you should be careful. Your brother should pay for the dry cleaning of the couch, period. Your brother doesn't want to pay because for him, it was just an accident. I suggest you go to his house with a glass of milk and pour it on his couch. Tell him it was an accident. And what will his reaction be? It wasn't really an accident in your house. It was the consequences of a stupid attitude towards other people's property. Of course, Willow and Kinsley don't care about your new couch. Your brother doesn't want to admit fault. Nolan, it's situations like this that make me think kids are absolutely evil. They don't think about anything. They don't care about other people's property. Children can do whatever they want, and their parents will say, you can't punish a child because it's just a child. I don't agree with this opinion at all. If you as a parent know that your child can do something bad, then you should keep your children away from other people's property. Okay, let's think that the sofa would not be new. The kids would have done the same thing in that case. Is it normal for someone to spoil things, whether they are new or not? If your brother doesn't pay, you don't have to talk to him anymore, because the person doesn't care about your feelings. He probably knows that you saved for a long time to buy that sofa, and in the end, your brother behaved like this, as if you were going to throw that couch away and it didn't matter. A story that really surprised me. My brother and I have been in the same company for a long time. We have loved sports since we were young. Our father often took my brother and me to basketball games. Every time I went to a basketball game, when I was young, I went to a basketball game. When I got married, it became important for me to take care of my family. 4 years after I got married to Anna, we started having children. We had 2 daughters who were very wonderful, so I practically forgot about sporting events forever. The most I could do was watch basketball games on TV. My brother was still single, so he had some time to go to basketball games. I was very jealous of him. My wife Anna was happy that I was fully dedicated to the family. After all, she knew about my passion for sports. I have a great job as a driver for a businessman. My wife is partially self-employed. She had the skills to work on a laptop. Therefore, she had very little income from her job. I was the main source of income for the family. I had saved enough money for this year to finally visit every match of my favorite basketball team. I hadn't had this opportunity in over 4 years. My brother and a few of my friends said they could come with me. It was a 40-day tour. I couldn't believe it was finally happening. But there was one little thing that needed to be done. The name of my case was Anna. It was hard to convince my wife to give me permission to do this because it was Thanksgiving. This holiday didn't mean much to me, so I easily decided that I could skip the celebration this year. I'd really wanted to go on tour with my friends, so I told my wife that the whole family would survive my absence because this holiday is only a formal one. It has no real connection to any family member, like an anniversary or a birthday. I also decided to buy some small gifts for the family so that they wouldn't be so angry with me. I left a good amount of money for my wife to celebrate, so when I got all my business done, I could leave with a clear conscience. The next day, I received an angry message from Anna. My wife wrote that I was the worst husband in the world. I hadn't left enough money for her because there will be a lot of relatives at the celebration, and $230 is not enough to feed 13 people in one festive evening. Anna indicated that if I didn't send her another $300, she would cancel the celebration at our house. I was unhappy with this situation. She was not the only one who had to buy food for Thanksgiving, so the $200 should have been enough for her. The next morning, I called my wife. We started to quarrel. I was sure she didn't need the extra money. Anna assured me that I was wrong. I couldn't stand it any longer and told Anna that she was being insolent. I had been saving for this event for 2 years. I saved every cent to go. I left her the necessary amount for the holiday. I bought a gift for the kids and her, but Anna is still not happy with me. I am not going to tolerate this attitude. You spoil the whole holiday mood for my family, especially the children are suffering because of your antics. Be a normal wife and stop your selfish actions. Anna just ignored my words. She didn't want to make a holiday at our house. Anna took our children and went to her sister's house. My mom was upset. Such an important holiday for her was ruined. Anna told everyone who was supposed to be at the celebration that it was all my fault. My dad is angry with me because I upset my mom. I realized that Anna wanted to punish me for the trip. She didn't want to understand me, so Anna just did what she wanted. I think what Anna did was very bad. She only thought about herself. She did not care about the feelings of her family and children. Hudson, dude, you're being an asshole. Your wife was fine with you going, but you should have taken care of that. That everything was fine while you were gone. So while you were out there having fun with your brother and your friends, your wife Anna was supposed to cook dinner for 13 people for $200? Are you sure that live in the modern world? Here, prices are different, and you can't buy the right food for 1/5 of that amount. Do you think that if your wife doesn't have enough money, it's only her problem? In fact, it's a blow to your reputation as a family. So don't think you can get away with it. You will have to apologize to the whole family. Caroline, would you really rather spend a few extra hundred on your vacation rather than send it to your family to make sure they have enough for everything? Only someone who doesn't love his family can do that. A real husband and father will do what is necessary to make his family happy. Are your friends more important than your daughters? You should think about your priorities. You have ruined Anna's mood. And if the mother is not happy in the family, then no one is happy. Don't be surprised if she will be offended by you for a long time. Christian, your wife cannot have a full-time job right now, so Anna has relied on you to provide for the family. But you don't think of your family as a priority. Your wife Anna has the right to tell you that you are not spending the money correctly. Because you and she are one family, you are causing Anna moral pain, and your family is upset that the celebration was canceled. You shouldn't think of the money as yours. You are now one with Anna, and you have to take care of that. That the woman who is raising your children has everything she needs. If I were Anna, every self-respecting woman would have had a serious conversation with you about this event. I hope you were very happy to be at the sporting event. When your wife Anna told her family in tears that she couldn't have them all at her house for Thanksgiving, it was all your fault. But you think Anna doesn't know how to handle finances. You're just a selfish jerk. Throughout my childhood, I got used to being stared at all the time. Children didn't tease me much because of my face. After all, my scars gave me an extra dangerous look. Although many people did pester me with stupid questions, I always joked that I had a bad fall when I was running away from my beauty. This was negated by stupid questions from girls. Sometimes I get tired of telling people things, so I just ignore them or pretend that I didn't listen to them at all. Next story. I live with my uncle Hunter and his son Connor, and my uncle's wife Nova. Their family also has 2 little daughters, aged 11. These 2 girls are twins. Connor is the oldest among them. He is already 21 years old. My parents now live in another country. My dad is currently working as a doctoral student, and my mom helps him with new projects. I am 22 years old now, and I am finishing my studies. People often pay attention to me. I was severely injured at birth. I have several severe scars on my face. My dad often jokes that scars adorn men. It is a very witty joke on his part. In 2 years, I will have the necessary amount of money for the operation. In the meantime, I have to walk around with a scary face. Throughout my childhood, I got used to being stared at all the time. Children did not tease me much because of my face. After all, my scars gave me an extra dangerous look. Although many of them bothered me with stupid questions, I always joked that I had a bad fall when I was running away from my beauty. This was negated by stupid questions from girls. Sometimes I get tired of telling people things, so I just ignore them or pretend that I didn't listen to them at all. My uncle's son has a girlfriend, but we didn't know her personally, so Connor decided to change that. We went for a walk in a local park. His girlfriend Genesis was a little late for a meeting, so Connor and I had enough time to reminisce about our childhood. 20 minutes later, Genesis showed up. We sat down on a lawn near a small lake. The view was beautiful. I always went there. While I told my stories from college, Genesis was watching me closely, or rather my face. I realized right away that she was not expecting to see those scars. My brother had told Genesis that I had some problems with my face, but she didn't know exactly what was wrong. At some point, Genesis started asking me why I had this face. I told her a little bit about what happened to me as a child. Genesis said, "It's good that your body is normal." I decided to ignore her words about it. She got a little embarrassed and started talking. "Your hands look normal." I looked at her and let her know that I couldn't understand what she was getting at. Genesis said, "Well, if your face is unlucky, Then at least everything else is fine. After all, my mom would be scared if she saw you." There was an uncomfortable silence between us. I decided to ask Genesis what it was that must-have scared her mom. She said that my face looked like a monster. I looked at her in surprise. Genesis said it was a bad joke. In fact, the face scares her a little bit. It looks like I'm a dangerous man. She's scared to be around me, even though she tries to be discreet. I sat silently and listened, wondering how far Genesis would go with her words. Surprisingly, she didn't stop and kept talking her nonsense. She said that other people with facial disabilities are not all bad. I questioned Genesis. Not all people who have ugly faces are bad. You mean, if the face is beautiful, the person is beautiful? Genesis panicked a bit. She was trapped. With every word she said, I felt less comfortable being there. I have said a lot of things in my life, but I hadn't heard such thoughts in a very long time. Her thinking was at the level of a 7-year-old child. It made me very upset. Finally, after 10 minutes of this nonsense, Connor couldn't take it anymore and asked us both to stop and let him enjoy the evening. Connor just wanted to get to know us, not to have a fight. After my brother said that, I went home. I can't say that this situation made me angry, but I was a little upset. When Uncle Hunter asked me how it went, I lied to him, saying that everything was fine. I didn't want to upset my Uncle Hunter. After all, he doesn't like it when I get in trouble because of my face. Hunter asked his son to look after me. Late in the evening, Connor came to my room. He said I had been stupid with Genesis. I could have taken Genesis's words more seriously. After all, she didn't mean me any harm. She was just speaking her mind. Genesis was stressed, so she said some things that were unnecessary. My brother's explanation was great, but I realized that his girlfriend was Genesis. She pays attention to appearance first. If a person doesn't look good by her standards, it means that the person is not good. Genesis showed me her nature in her own words. These were not empty words out of shock. As Connor assured me in his speech, I responded to my half-brother Connor that I had given his girlfriend a chance to stop. But Genesis continued to spoil the warm atmosphere with her words. So Connor and I got into a fight. Maybe I'm to blame somewhere, because I started to put pressure on Genesis for what she said. I should have given her a chance to calm down and told her that she was thinking more calmly, but I just couldn't stand that insulting nonsense from Genesis. My stepbrother Connor says we should have another meeting so we can all sort out our words and feelings. I'm kind of okay with that, but I think Genesis will just say the right things, not the ones she really thinks about me and everyone who has ever been hurt by appearance. Connor blabbed to his dad Hunter about what happened, so Hunter was upset with me, and then my parents found out about it as well. I don't feel good that this situation has gone so far. In fact, this situation was not much different from those I've been in before with other people. I was just so sick of it, so I snapped and started asking uncomfortable questions for Genesis. Also, I didn't want any of the elders to know about it, because then they would start blowing it out of proportion. I wasn't interested in that. I didn't want to waste my time on empty words, so I started to spoil everything. If I had just kept silent then, no one was looking for someone to blame, and everything would have been fine. I feel guilty towards Genesis and her boyfriend. Eli, in my opinion, you shouldn't feel guilty about it. After all, you didn't start the conversation about appearance. I hope that after this situation, Genesis will be more careful with their words. After all, they are destroying their reputation. I felt some notes of bad attitude towards people on certain grounds. It's not normal to think that someone is bad just because they have a few scars on their face. How many thieves have a clean face, does she know? That's why you shouldn't have paid attention to what Genesis said. She didn't know what she was talking about. Amelia, I think your half-brother wanted to support his girlfriend Genesis. That's why Connor started to offer you reconciliation in the form of talking about feelings. Connor didn't want to admit that his girlfriend has a wrong opinion about some people. There is no doubt that what Genesis said was stupid. Should you talk to her about it again? I'm not sure about that at all, because it could cause new conflicts. So it's better to refrain from doing that now. Live your life and wait for the surgery. Soon you will forget about your facial defects. I'm glad you shared your opinion. I did talk to Genesis about our conflict. We found a common ground with them. Genesis is not a bad girl, she just talks nonsense sometimes. My brother is planning to marry her, and Uncle Hunter is happy that we didn't have a global fight with Genesis again. My life is great too. I had the surgery, now there is no trace of me looking like a monster. I feel very cool and attractive to people. Finally, I am without a blemish on my face. Now I want to tell a different story. I moved away from my family to another state for over 16 years. I found a great job there and met my husband Jeremiah. We now have a son, Easton, who is just over 12 years old. This year, my husband and I got a 2-week vacation. It turned out so perfectly that my husband's family will be celebrating Family Day, and I have the opportunity to go to Jeremiah with my husband. We have never been to their house for a celebration before. Jeremiah and I live on the other side of the country, so it is not a cheap pleasure to get to my parents' house. My son Easton has only seen all of our family when he was a baby. Now he's in school, so we didn't send him to his parents. However, this year we decided to make an exception. My husband Jeremiah called his parents and told them that we would finally come to see them. The whole family was very happy with this news. My husband has 3 brothers and 1 sister. He also has 2 cousins and 3 nephews, and his brother has a whole zoo at home. The Jeremiah family is very diverse and interesting. I'm sorry that I can only be with them once every couple of years. We bought plane tickets and flew away. Jeremiah's family usually has a family day outdoors. This is very unusual for me. My family has always gathered at home. When we arrived, Jeremiah's uncle met us at the airport. He helped us with our things and orientation in the city. Since my son Easton and I had never been here before, we went to Jeremiah's brother's house. There was a lot of space, and he could accommodate our family. In a few days, we had to get ready for a holiday. Jeremiah's parents decided to spend it on a small lake. It was the private territory of a friend of my husband's, so there were no problems with the place. A few days before, Jeremiah's cousins and siblings came to visit us. We were deciding what we were going to give our parents on Family Day. First of all, we honored our parents, who gave life to everyone. It was a bit strange for me, but I agreed to it. Everyone started talking about different gift options. After all, the parents themselves have a lot of things, so it's almost impossible to find something to give them. The only right decision was to buy them a wonderful gift with joint funds. If we gave them gifts separately, there is a high probability that the gift could have been the same. Some difficulty was eliminated immediately. My husband Jeremiah's mother suffered from diabetes. Therefore, suggestions to give something tasty were not even considered. We sat in a room with 8 people for over 6 hours. All the time, we were thinking of ideas for what to do for our parents. During the whole time, there were many suggestions from everyone. In the end, we came up with 3 good options. My husband came up with the idea of giving his parents money for a vacation to Europe. My husband's cousin came up with the idea of giving her parents a Jeremiah to give money to upgrade Jeremiah's dad's car. My husband's sister suggested dividing the whole amount and giving it to all the older family members. So we started voting on whose idea was the best. At first, everything was pretty decent, but my husband's cousin started saying that her idea was better. My husband did not like it. Jeremiah started saying that he would let others decide. A conflict started between them. No one could find a common language. Each of the children wanted to please their parents, but the method of achieving these goals became harsh. At one point, it seemed to me that Jeremiah was ready to hit his cousin. He started saying that Jeremiah hadn't been with his parents for a long time and didn't understand their tastes. And in general, the idea of going on a trip is very stupid, so it's better to take his idea and not have any problems. My husband said to his cousin that it's better for parents to go and see the beautiful cities than to drive around our city in their car. It took 30 minutes to calm them down so that there would be no further conflict. We chose Sister Jeremiah's idea because the boys were ready to beat each other up. My husband's cousin said that his behavior was worse than when he was little, and all of my husband's Jeremiah ideas are stupid. Jeremiah told his cousin that he was a bastard. We didn't make it to the Family Day celebration. Jeremiah's mom and dad are very upset that we were not present, But my husband did not want to see or hear his cousin. I do not understand why these issues could not be resolved calmly. After all, it was a common cause, not a personal one. Naomi, it's been going on since. That's a common tradition that has been around for a long time. Why do you have to give your husband's parents something every year? Have they ever given you anything? And the behavior of your husband and his cousin is disgusting. Two healthy men could not agree on who would give the gift. They are like two types of donkeys who are bumping into each other. I think with this attitude toward each other, Jeremiah will not want to talk to his cousin ever again. Aliyah, why can't they get along? Did your husband Jeremiah mention earlier about conflicts with his cousin? Your husband's cousin behaved very badly at the discussion. Why does he think that his idea is the best? Discussions are for discussions, not for someone to say that his idea is the best. It seems to me that your husband's cousin just needed attention, so he started to create a conflict. My children, who are 13 years old, don't argue with each other over such nonsense. Because of that asshole, you and your husband didn't come to the party. I hope that guy has a conscience, but apparently he doesn't. Alina, your husband must be a proud guy. If he couldn't stop himself, I guess you and your family won't be making it to the next celebration anytime soon. I'm not sure if you even want to. It's better to do your holiday without other relatives.